Right, so as you can see, different location this time. I am in a living room, not in a theme park particularly. I haven't been for a while. That video obviously that I posted a little while ago hasn't been recent. It was a little while ago. I just didn't have time to post it, as I said in that video. So I thought today we'd do a speculation video, some of my hopes and possibly some theories on Scarefest this year for Alton Towers, as that is going to be one of the ones I am going to. Fingers crossed I can get to a few more, but Scarefest I know that I am going to, so I know that I can speak about this one freely without getting my hopes up for any others. So I know Thorpe Park have already started releasing some of their promo material, so I might even go to a little look into that, as me and a few of my friends have had some ideas of what could go on with that. But today, focusing on Alton Towers, some of my theories and some ideas that I've had about what mazes could be coming back, a poster that's been found around the park, and some other things that I think could all lead to this year's Scarefest being quite interesting and possibly maybe seeing some more interesting and innovative mazes coming in. Alright, so first, the website. It hasn't updated yet at all. I checked yesterday and it's still saying that a lot of my information is still waiting to be revealed, which I completely understand. It is only July. So completely understandable why it hasn't started coming up yet, but a poster has surfaced. The one that I'm using will be from Theme Park Worldwide's Twitter page, or X, and I wanted to go into depth about some of the things I saw in that image, and some of the things that I think could also hint towards some new mazes coming out, and some other things that I've heard around the park that could be happening. The first thing that I saw was a returning maze, some images in the top right hand corner kind of coming down, so we can't see it in the picture, but in the more full photo that's on their website you can see more of the images. They're all from the Daz Games maze Panic escape room that he did. So I think that will be very interesting. I didn't go last year, so it will definitely be very interesting to see how that's incorporated, if it's any different from last year, because obviously if people are returning, they'll know what to do. Yeah, so I can only imagine that this will be returning. We also see in the middle of the poster an Alton ancestor, so again, can only really say that they're coming back as well, which would be great because I always enjoy seeing live dancers and stuff. I think they are brilliant, and I mean, coming from a dancer, I can only imagine how hot and sweaty it gets in those costumes, because they do not look fun to dance in. We also see that there are two of the Freaky Five and the stage in the middle of the park, which we all know doesn't really move, but it would be nice for some of the kids to have something to do as well if they've came in, because the parks are open till 9, so it'll be a nice long day for the kids as well. Something else that I found quite interesting is how the Nemesis creature and Emily Alton are in the top corner. I understand that this could also just be the fact that they are the newer attractions to the park, which again, completely understand if that is just what they were going for, just to promote that there's the newer refurbed attractions. But thanks to Towers Town, you should go follow them on Instagram. I looked at their website for this. There has been some planning permission granted for behind the Curse of Alton Manor. Now I find this quite interesting, as it was quite an open space from what I'd seen, and a lot of that space you can fit a maze into. I think my first theory is the fact that it could have something to do with Emily Alton and the Curse of Alton Manor, maybe having something to do with certain sections in the ride. I won't go into that because, spoilers. But it could possibly have something to do with that, if that is going to become a maze. We're not entirely sure yet until we get ideas, but I think the Curse of Water Manor, when I went on it, I wasn't particularly chuffed about it, but it's still that the prospect of it, you can make a very, very good scare maze out of that, and I will die by that fact. My other theory that I had was that possibly, just due to how close in proximity it is to Nemesis, which is what, a little bit of a walk away, Forbidden Valley, quite close. It could have something to do with Phalanx. This one's a bit out there, but I could imagine it possibly being something to do with like an outbreak of a Nemesis, like with what we saw in Subterra, but possibly more of a outbreaky testing facility type vibe to it. But again, this is very out there, and I would be surprised if this didn't happen, just because the Gloomy Woods, I think the Curse of Water Manor's in, so it has got its own area, so I would be very surprised if Wandowers were to throw Nemesis into that area when it's got its own distinct area. Back to the poster, there is an image of 13 on the bottom right hand corner, which I think could link to a new scare maze in that area, but I will come back to that later, as it is something to do with the map and some other things that I've spotted circulating around the news, and people speculated around the park as well. Now, that was as much as I could see from that poster. It was honestly quite new. I'd say it's just a placeholder for now before they bring in the real one, hopefully in August at some point. But I'm now going to have a look at the 2023 map, so last year's map, to see if I can spot any places that may not be being used, and some other areas that I think would make some nice scare mazes. We're also going to be looking through Google Earth as well, at a kind of bird's eye view at some of the areas where they could again be used for some scare mazes, and some areas where I think they could use with some attractions in this season. So on the 2023 map, we can see it's quite nicely laid out. It shows where all of the mazes are, the locations of the mazes are noted on there's numbers, which is always great, easy to find, we love it. So I can tell in my personal opinion mazes that I would like to come back. The Attic, Portalville Mine Tours I have done, and they were brilliant. I really enjoyed those. I can only imagine that they're coming back. The Invitation, again, it's an older one, I can imagine that staying, and Panic, but that's practically been confirmed by the poster. As I didn't do it last year, I can't really tell about Burial Grounds, but as it's to do with the lore of the Wicker Man, and from what I've read about the Unchosen, which is like a sub-cult to the main cult of the Wicker Man, I can only imagine that it did very well, and I'd be happy to see it return as a nice inclusion to the area around Wicker Man, and as we know, I love that ride. When I went Scarefest last, I went on the Clown Junkyard. I can't particularly remember what it was called, but it was still there, and when I looked at this last map, I was a bit disappointed to see that it wasn't there anymore. So when I looked back at the map, I think this might be where Panic might be now, but I also have a feeling that it might just be empty space, which I wonder if they could use for something else. And I mean, it's quite close to X Sector, so that's why I was thinking possibly that something else could maybe be used in that space. But please correct me if I'm wrong, and if that is actually where Panic is being put, because I, again, wasn't there, so I wouldn't be able to say. As well as this, Darkest Depths need to go. That's as much as I'm going to say. I don't understand the hype about it. I really, really do not like it. I didn't understand the appeal. All the other mazes, I think, were way above that. And I think if they really wanted to do something pirate themed, they have a perfect opportunity now to use the dungeons. And now, obviously, coming to the dungeons, the Autumn Towns dungeons have now been confirmed to be closed for 2024. The dungeons are done. It's over. Kaput. It's out of the way. It's over. But we've had speculations, and I think it's also been confirmed that it is becoming a scare maze. This is between the areas of Dark Forest, with Resale 13, and the World of David Wonders. With this in mind, I can't imagine there being a scare maze on something to do with David Williams. I can't see Thanks to Granny coming out and scaring me. If that does happen though, good on you. That is quite impressive. I will give you that if it works. But maybe it could be something to do with the Dark Forest and 13 and that area surrounding it and the dark wizard kind of vibe that they had at the start with the statues and stuff coming to life and things like that. So it could have something to do with that, and I think I would be very, very happy if that was the case, because I think it would bring a lot more throughput towards that area, as when they had Darkest Depths open, I believe sometimes that route behind it would be blocked to 13, so you can actually get round that way. This might just be my brain being fuzzy, but I believe that has happened to me once before, and I've had to go the long way around. And that obviously then would make you more annoyed and wouldn't want to revisit that area of the park, which I think is very disappointing because 13 is a brilliant ride. Rita you can kind of get away with not doing it because it's free time, but 13 is brilliant, and I'm disappointed that it may not get that much throughput from it. So having the dungeons now fully open, and the dungeons is a big space, like I'll put a photo up in a bit, but it's a big space to use. There might not even be one dungeon, one maze. There could be 2 mazes, we don't know, or just one extra long maze. We don't know what's going to happen with that, because it's a lot of space to be used. And I'd love to see what the creative leads and maze designers are going to be doing with that, because it is huge. I think that they could also do something with a pirate theme. My hopes, again, fingers crossed, we can all hope and pray. I mean, actually, I've heard that a lot of people like Darkest Depths. I don't know what you see, but I'll give you that. Please feel free to comment and just give me any ideas of why you like it. Please tell me. But yeah, they could have a pirate theme, but I just don't think Davy Jones is the way to go. If that's going to be the final bit, I'm going to be very disappointed. I'd be very disappointed. But I could also see them doing something completely different. As I said, to do with the Dark Forest, it's in that area, it would work. As well as that, I think that an area that doesn't get too much attention at the moment is X Sector. X Sector has had many very, very good attractions around it. You had the Sanctuary a little while ago.
Hello, my name is Dr. Kelman.
You had the Sanctuary. I genuinely think that might have been the only one, but still, it's a very good maze and a lot of people wanted that back, and I completely understand. Now, I get that there isn't much space in there, like after looking around Google Earth, I forgot that where the retro team area was, where they had the flat rides. That's now all food stores, so they can't particularly turn that into a maze, which I thought would be a nice place to put something. But obviously they can't do that now because there's the food stores there. But even some roaming actors or something like that, just to make it more interesting, because every other area is full of it's close to a scare maze, it's something, like there's something around it that works with Scarefest, and the only thing that works with Scarefest in that area is the 2 rides that you can go on in the dark, and that's it. I feel like it's such a waste of good space and good theming just to leave it. And we all know that Forbidden Valley is going to have their own roaming actors now. There's no way they're not going to now. They have them anyway now. Like, they'll stay there for Scarefest, and possibly there might even be more, and they'll be interacting a lot more as well. But I really hope that they do, because it just works. It just works. I mean, imagine in the dark just seeing a phalanx officer come up to you. Like last time I was at Scarefest, I got interrogated by 2 of them, and it was like, whoa, what's going on? Thought it was an alien. With the park being as big as it is, a lot of that space is used up. So for this, I can only imagine that the designers, creative leads are going through hell trying to fun places to use. And obviously I know they have the towers that they can use certain areas of it, as we see in the attic, and I believe the invitation and Autumnville Mine Tours actually, as that goes under the towers. But that's 3 of the mazes already out of the like 6 that are on offer. Burial Grounds was at Wicker Man, we know that. Darkest Depths being kind of close to Dark Forest and X. Hopefully that space will be removed and we can use that for something else. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. I really can't actually see any other places other than that area in Curse of Autumn Man of the Planning Commission and the dungeons being new mazes. They really don't have a lot of space, but again, correct me if I'm wrong if I'm not seeing something, but I just hope that they do something different. That's all I'm hoping. If they make this year's Scarefest better than the last one that I went to, I'll be very, very happy. But I think that means getting rid of Darkest Depths, because I don't know why I queued up that long for it. I really did enjoy it. That's my opinion on that, and I mean, you'll hear it quite a lot if I find out it comes back. But it is what it is. If it comes back, it comes back. Hopefully they'll just revamp it and update it a little bit just to make it a bit nicer, so the last bit isn't just like 2 pool noodles just putting his arms about. But again, I'd love to hear your guys' opinions on what could be returning and what might be new in the Scarefest. We obviously know that there's going to be more information coming out soon, hopefully in the near future. As it comes over to August, we can kind of start hoping that there's going to be stuff coming out. Let me know if you went to last year's Scarefest and what you thought of it. Obviously, as I weren't there, I couldn't really give you an idea of what was there. I was the Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando instead. What do you want to return? I'd love to hear from you guys. But yeah, do make sure to like and subscribe, and I will speak to you guys later. Goodbye.